there, we're back with more Five Nights with Harry by Harry Lefferts. Last time left off on a bit of a cliffhanger with Harry collapsing after fighting Shadow Bonnie and Shadow Freddy, which, whilst editing the last video, I did notice that I made a mistake with the names when I think I said Shadow Bonnie instead of Shadow Freddy, so, oops. But, yeah. Anyway, we're on chapter 21. We're gonna hopefully Harry will be okay. Well, of course he's gonna be okay, and see what else they get up to. Because I believe they're just finishing off I believe they're at the FNAF 2 locations. So, probably just gonna finish off there and then some other stuff as well. And, of course, if you want to follow along with the chapter, link to the chapter will be in the description below, as always. So, let's get started. With a groan, Harry slowly sat up. Ugh, what the bloody hell happened? Hearing something, he looked around to see him laying in the back seat of Michelle's car door. What? Back seat of Michelle's car, with said young woman pacing around just outside, muttering to herself. Damn it, Harry. Slowly wincing, Harry took a breath and called out, Sorry about that, Michelle. Gasping, she turned to see him watching her, and her eyes widened. You're awake! Before Harry could say anything, Michelle rushed to the car and opened the door, before she practically dove into the back seat and hugged him. Oh God, Harry, I was so worried when you collapsed like that. She pulled away some and gave him a glare. Don't scare me like that again. Harry only nodded at the look in her eyes. I'll, try not to. He then looked around in confusion. What happened? And how long have I been out for? As she took a breath, though, much to Harry's confusion, she didn't loosen the hug. Michelle shook her head. After you collapsed, everyone freaked out as we thought that you were badly hurt. But then A appeared and told us that you were just exhausted and needed some rest. So Rebecca brought you out here and placed you onto my back seat where you could rest. The others are just packing up the parts for Erica to take back to the storage shed. Taking another breath to calm herself, she threaded her fingers through Harry's as she sat next to him. As for the time, you've been out for about an hour and it's nearly 4:30. It was then that Harry noticed some wetness by her eyes. Are you crying? Slowly, his eyes widened some. Did I make you cry? Sniffling some, Michelle just softly smiled as she tightened the hug some. I was just scared, Harry. Now I'm happy that you're okay is all. The two sat there for a few minutes as Michelle placed her head into the crook of his neck, best she could. Harry yawned, she gave a bit of a chuckle. Still tired, I see. Humming, Harry nodded as he leaned his head against Michelle. Yeah, my whole body aches a bit. I'm having some trouble keeping awake. While her face heated up some, Michelle cleared her throat a bit. You could just go to sleep here. I don't mind at all. Another yawn escaped from Harry as he nodded, his eyes slowly closing. That sounds rather nice, actually. Not even a minute later, Harry was gently asleep as he leaned against Michelle. Said person, meanwhile, was looking out into the night and sighed to herself. Damn it, I cannot believe that I'm falling for him. A thought then occurred to her that made her snort. I wonder if this is what happened with Mom and Dad. Little time seemed to pass before she heard a snicker and looked up to see Erica at the front of the car grinning at them like a cat seeing a small bird. So, that looks rather cozy. Michelle only glared at her friend, which caused the grin to widen for a few moments before her expression softened. So, how is he? Glancing at him, Michelle smiled a bit. Tired and with some aches and pains, but he's okay, I guess. Nodding, Erica walked up and looked into the car at Harry before she reached out and brushed some hair away from his face. You didn't see him, Shelley. That guy's protective as hell towards those he calls friends and family. If anything happens between you, I can say that you got my backing. At Michelle opening her mouth, Erica shook her head. I'm being serious, Michelle. I know that you say that you're just friends, and maybe you are, but if anything more happens, then you've got my approval. Several seconds passed before Michelle nodded with a smile. Thanks. I appreciate it. Erica snuggled back before she got down and took one of Harry's arms. Anyway, let's get this guy into the front seat. He can rest up during the drive back. As they both worked together to get the groggy Harry around to the front passenger seat, Michelle looked towards her friend. So, how is your professor and his cousin reacting to all this? Everyone winced a bit. Well, besides deriding all the supernatural bullshit they've seen tonight, Prof said that he'll be talking to me about some things he remembers from Freddy's. I also saw Jeremy talking with Foxy, and before you ask, I don't know what they were talking about. With a frown on her face, Michelle furrowed her eyebrows as they placed Harry gently into the front passenger seat. Huh, wonder what they were talking about. Much to Harry's surprise, when he came off his shift, Michelle was waiting for him in her car. Having seen his shock, she just smiled a bit as she looked out as summer raindrops came down from the dreary sky overhead. Figured that you might be a bit too tired to walk home. I heard it was going to rain. All Harry could do in his exhaustion was tiredly nod as he walked over to the passenger side and get in. Thanks. I really appreciate this. Despite himself, he could feel his eyes closing as he yawned. Merlin, I feel like I could sleep a week. Glancing at him, Michelle just smiled as he continued to nod off. I'm not surprised, Harry. After what happened. Tell you what, just rest your eyes and I'll wake you when you get home. She blinked as she didn't get an answer and turned to see Harry already asleep. Or you could just sleep. To Harry, it seemed like he'd just fallen asleep when a hand shook him awake. Huh? What? Looking at his expression, Michelle shook her head. You're home, Harry. A moment later, she frowned as she noticed that the rain started to pick up. Come on then, let's get you into your house. It took some work, but she helped get the tired 15-year-old up the stairs and to the front door, which she knocked on. Michelle then frowned a few minutes later as no one answered, only for Harry to grumble as he reached into his pocket and unlocked the door using the key he had there. I think I know what's going on. Once they stumbled inside, Harry checked the back of the door and sighed. Of course. I went to March for the weekends. That caused Michelle to blink as she looked around. So, no one else is here? Eyes nod, she frowned, though part of it was because she could not see a picture of him anywhere. Give me a moment. Having gotten a nod, she walked over to the phone and quickly dialed the Perks household. Erica, it's me. Michelle. Yeah, I might be late. No one else here at his house, and I need to make sure that he's okay. Huh? Yeah, no worries there. Okay, see you in a while then. When she got back, Michelle had to hide a smile at how Harry was nearly asleep, leaning against the wall. Okay, let's get you to bed then, before you collapse. Grunting, Harry leaned into her as they went up the stairs. Bed sounds good right about now. Unnoticed by him was how the young woman supporting him had a fiery blush on her face, a blush that reversed itself when she pointed at a door. That's mine. As she looked over the locks in the cat flap, Michelle swallowed. No, there is no fucking way. They passed another bedroom on their way, and Michelle blinked at the sight of all the stuff. It was then that they reached the bedroom that Harry said was his, and she opened the door. A quick glance over it showed the small cot and the broken items in it, as well as the trunk. Oh, this is just so much bullshit. Upon hitting the bed, Harry just laid there, nearly asleep, as he felt Michelle pull off his trainers. It was mainly because he was so tired that he didn't realize the next words out of his mouth. Now I know how those husbands feel when they come home tired from a long day. Frozen, Michelle felt like her face was on fire, though she wouldn't lie and say that since Harry mentioned it, the same thought hadn't gone through her head. Outside, burst fully. The storm burst fully, and the rain poured down, maneuvering Harry until he was on the cot. Michelle slumped a bit, as the same tiredness came over her. For a moment she blinked, and then grunted. Screw it. I'll just take a quick rest. Pushing the sleeping Harry to the side, she lay down, and before she knew it, sleep had claimed her as well. The ringing of the phone roused the young woman, and she sat up. For a brief moment, she wondered where she was before she heard a sound and turned to see Harry. Oh, right. I'm at Harry's house. Still hearing the phone, she got up despite not wanting to, the lumpy mattress notwithstanding, and walked downstairs. Picking it up, she held back a yawn. Hello? Erica's amazed voice drifted out from the other end. About time. I've been wondering where you've been all day. That Michelle that caused Michelle to blink for a moment. What time? She caught sight of the clock and swore. 2 in the afternoon. Shit. I'm sorry about that, Erica. I lay down after putting Harry to bed and must have conked out. A laugh came through the receiver and Michelle groaned at Erica's last words. Harry must be pretty comfy then. With a growl, Michelle glared at the phone. Screw off. God, I'm too tired for this right now. Of course, Erica had to laugh again. Tired, huh? The tone she said it in caused Michelle to groan. Yeah, laugh it up, the poor tired girl. Anyways, I'll talk to you later. After she got a goodbye in return and hung up, the young woman spotted the dirty tracks that led up the stairs from the front door. Damn it, should probably take care of that. Now where would the mop and stuff be? I know that Erica keeps hers in a cupboard under the stairs, and there's one here. And Harry would probably be glad not to get yelled at, if how to clean the rest of the places could be considered a sign. Pushing away from the phone, she walked over to the cupboard and undid the bolt locks. Michelle slowly walked back into Harry's room with a stunned expression on his face. She glanced at Harry for a moment before she walked over to the window and opened it. As the young woman leaned against the sill, she just stared out. I... Suddenly she blinked and looked down as her arms brushed against something. Wait, are those... Once more the churning in her stomach came back and she swallowed, her voice just a whisper. You have to be fucking joking. Hearing something, Michelle froze and then walked toward the closet. Gently, her hands gripped the handle before she pulled it open to reveal Veronica staring at her through the gap. Hi? All Michelle could do was blink before she raised an eyebrow. What are you doing in the closet? Coughing, Veronica shrugged as she adjusted the box that held Shadow Foxy and her son's bones. I usually come here during the day, just in case someone sneaks around the basement. Besides, her eyes glanced towards where Harry slept. Being here makes me feel peaceful for some reason. After last night, I need it. For a few moments, Michelle just stared at her before she blinked slowly. Okay? With a shake of her head, she looked around and noticed a black form beside Harry. Eh? The spectre raised herself somewhat off the bed and sighed. I usually follow Harry everywhere. Seeing the expression on Michelle's face, her tone took on a teasing note. Yes, I did see what you did. Behind Michelle, Veronica's dry tone could be heard. She's not the only one. Chuckling some at the blush spreading across the young woman's face, Aya shook her head before her voice softened. But thank you for caring enough to take care of Harry, Michelle. I appreciate it, and I know that Harry does as well. Though he won't admit it. It was then that she gave her best version of a frown that she could. Speaking of, you seemed troubled when you came in. Want to talk about it? With a raised eyebrow, Michelle glanced at both other females. I cannot believe that I am having a conversation with two people dead for years. Shows just how weird my life has gotten. Her voice then became strained as she looked down at the floor. How much do you know about Harry's life? I mean, before now, that is. That only caused Veronica to become confused before Aya's sighed. I don't know everything, Michelle, but I know enough to guess how bad his childhood was. Narrowing her eyes, Veronica growled a bit. How bad? As she ran her hand through her hair, Michelle only grimaced. Something that's probably personal for Harry, so I'll let you find out. Suddenly, a voice thick with sleep spoke up and surprised all of them. You're right. My childhood is personal. They turned their head towards the bed to see Harry laying there with his eyes half open before he sat up. Could you two let me and Michelle talk alone? Both Harry and Veronica shared a look before they left the room. They went downstairs where they saw that the door to the cupboard under the stairs had been left open a crack. Meanwhile, Harry sighed and ran a hand over his face. Come over here and sit, Michelle. After she did so, the young woman focused on one spot on the wall. What do you know? Also focusing on one spot, Michelle's arm touched Harry's as she gathered her thoughts. There's a couple of little clues everywhere. No pictures of you on the wall, or any sign really that you live here. Locks on the outside your bedroom door and the cat flap. How dirty your room is with broken or uncomfortable furniture. Like, your mattress is damn. It is lumpy. Is it lumpy? Not getting a chuckle, she took a breath. I can also see that there are bars on your window. Whoever did the work of moving them only cut them down to steel. That's it. There's also some holes there. And then there was the cupboard. Harry scrunched his eyes closed and sighed as he attempted to keep his temper under control. You went looking then? To his surprise, Michelle shook her head and teared up a bit. No, I got up an hour ago to answer the phone. It was Erica wondering where I was. Then I noticed that we had tracks of mud or water from outside, so I went to get a mop, and Erica keeps hers in a cupboard under the stairs. So, opening his eyes, Harry turned around toward her and searched her face. She blinked away some wetness. I swear, Harry, I would never betray your trust like that, especially as I know how it feels. For a few moments, Harry was quiet before he nodded. I don't know why, but I believe you. He let her sigh in relief and feel what she and find what she said about knowing how it felt away. So you looked in the cupboard and uncomfortable, she shifted a bit, unknowingly bringing her side more in contact with Harry's. There was an old blanket and what looked like a cot. I also saw the tin soldiers hidden in the space just under some stairs, as well as a scratch in Harry's room. How long? Knowing her question, Harry stared ahead and shrugged. My parents died when I was a little more than a year old, and I only got this bedroom around my 11th birthday. Feeling something, he looked down to see that Michelle had grabbed his hand and spread her fingers through his. A look at her face let him know that the pity that he feared might be there wasn't, as she started to speak, though there was something unidentifiable to him instead. Hey, that's horrible. She chewed her lip a bit before she groaned. I won't ask for you to tell me anything, but if you ever want to talk, just talk. I'll be here to listen. I won't judge you or anything. A small weight lifted off his shoulders at that as he gave her a slightly brittle smile. Thanks. Don't know if I ever will, but yeah. Slowly, a smirk crossed Michelle's face. I do reserve the right to punch your relatives in the face, though, if they say anything that pisses me off. Laughing a bit, Harry shook his head. Sure, that I can get behind. The young wizard felt a squeeze of his hand in Michelle's before she spoke softly. Are are we good? With an equally soft tone, Harry squeezed her hand back. Yeah, I think that we are. He blinked though as he felt her lay her head on his shoulder. Good. I'm glad. With a smile, Erica entered the lounge and sat down at a chair facing a group of other young adults, all fellow students in her animatronics course. Sorry about that. I was just checking up on a roommate of mine. As she giggled, the red-haired woman shook her head. Don't sweat it. We all know how that goes at times. After the others nodded and she took a drink from her cider, the young woman raised an eyebrow. So, what did you want us to come over now? Is it that project that you've been secretive about? Tilting her head a little, Erica nodded. Actually, it does have something to do with that stuff. But first, Richard, a young man with blue-dyed hair, perked up some. I got word about the software patch you gave to me. Worked perfectly in regards to that room. The others all glanced at each other as Richard laughed and punched his palm. Really? Fucking A. I wasn't sure that it would work, but glad that it did. Slowly, he ran his hand through his hair. Still surprised that someone programmed those animatronics to ignore room. Man, was that a real bitch to track down in the coding. Now really confused, one of the other young men frowned and looked between Erica and Richard. Wait. Or in a room? But the only animatronics that will work for is free roaming ones. Besides some small toys, those are only around for the real high-end groups like movie studios. What the hell are you involved in? Blowing a bang from her face, Erica shook her head. Well, I can tell you there's nothing illegal going on here before you ask. But you have to sign these before I can tell you anything more. Much to their interest, Erica placed a small group of papers before everyone but Richard. At their looks, he raised his hands. Hey, I've already signed one of those before about this, if I'm right. He glanced at Erica, who nodded, which caused him to whistle. Oh shit. I'll say this. Whoever you work for did not do it by half, Erica. You got some of the best students in the class here. Intrigued by what they were hearing and itching to know more, the others all read through their contracts bit by bit. There was one thing that Professor Fritz had pounded into their head. It was to closely examine contracts before signing them. Meanwhile, Erica continued her conversation with Richard. Well, I suggested them to him, and he agreed. That caused the other young woman, who had black hair, Lauren, to look up in surprise. Wait, your boss lets you make suggestions? Not only listened, but went with them? Holy shit, girl. All Erica did was nod with a smile. What can I say? The guy's a good boss and friend. Finally, Davis set down his contract. Seems to be your usual non-disclosure agreement. After sharing a look with the others, he signed his before he handed it to Erica, followed by everyone else. Okay then, what's the big secret? Breathing deeply, Erica let it out slowly before she answered. Currently working on the animatronics for Freddy Fazbear's, actually. I got the job from the new owner of the place. Davis held up a hand in disbelief. Wait, Freddy Fazbear? As in Fazbear Entertainment? I've heard some stories about that place now. Clearing her throat, Erica nodded. I'll explain. I'm guessing that one of these stories is the Bite of 77? At their nods, she frowned. Turned out, thanks to Richard here, that was not a glitch, as some thought. The guy who committed the child murders was also a tech here with full access to their programming, and added a patch to make them violent towards adults. Especially adults in uniform. Her chin on her fist, Death scowled. Motherfucker. Okay then. I'm guessing that you're offering us jobs then? Once Erica nodded, Mike frowned. But why? We only get a few months out of this since I heard that closing down at the end of the year. No longer profitable or something? And the bad press. While she grimaced a bit, Erica nodded. They're closing down at the end of the year. At the end of the year, you're right. Then she smiled and caught them off guard. But they're reopening in a few years once they tear down the old pizzeria and build a new one. They'll also be using the time they have to do a media blitz to regain a good reputation. That is where we come in. Our jobs will be to do full upgrades on the animatronics and make them look friendlier and less scary. You guys don't have to join. This is of your free choice. And if you join and things go belly up, then you have the offer of not listing it as a place of employment if you choose. Now thoughtful, Laura looked over the papers again. How many animatronics are we talking about? Last I heard was that Freddy's has only about 3 or 4 if you count that pirate one. Knowing she had them, Erica only smiled. Well, they're using the old toy models as well, and some others. All told, maybe a dozen, a little more. And if it does well enough, he might open other locations, and we've been working on those as well. Might even have some unique animatronics as well. Whistling, Richard shook his head. Damn, that'll give us some real work. He then looked towards Erica with a frown. What about pay and budget? Your boss gave me pretty decent pay for checking the programming and making the software patch. Still, humming, Erica leaned back into her chair. But budget is pretty high, actually. Though we've already got nearly a full workshop of tools to use. If we need anything, we could pretty much get it as long as it's not outlandish. Pay-wise, he's nothing like the old owner. Hell, I'm getting paid about £1,000 every week after taxes. With her jaw dropped, Lauren shook her head. Holy, we'd be getting the same pay, so we get experience and a decent paycheck? At the nod, she looked around. I'm in. Besides, a fully stocked workshop, what that we would have full access to? Just think about what we could do. Chuckling, Richard reached over and flicked her chin. You're drooling. In return, Lauren smacked his hand. Asshole. Watching the byplay, Erica only shook her head before she frowned. It'd be a bit for the workshop, though. With the pizza being torn down and rebuilt, we need to set up elsewhere. Steph snorted a bit. No worries. Just buy an old auto shop for sale and set up the workshop in the garage. Or buy a building in one of those military bases they're always closing down on and selling to be used as a business park. We could use that for a workshop. There were nods around the group before they sat down and began to plan what would eventually see the rebirth of the animatronic side of Fazbear Entertainment. There was a slight fog clinging to the ground as a group of teens gathered near a door to Freddy's. After a moment, one of them pulled back his hood to reveal Piers Polkiss, who grinned nastily. Okay, everyone knows what we're supposed to do. We go in once midnight comes around, beat the shit out of Potter, and wreck the place. One of the gang looked around with a nervous expression on his face. Are you sure about this, Piers? We could just jump Connor on his way to work and kick his ass then. Hell, Dudley's not even here. He's at his aunt's place. A scowl on his face, Piers got into the other guy's face. What? You want to chicken out or something? It's Potter. We've kicked his ass before, and the guy got uppity and needs to be shown his place. As for Dudley, he would only have a problem with not being here to beat him up. Looking around, another man released of the gang shook his head. I agree with Sean, Piers. This place has fucking cameras everywhere inside. That's a hell of a lot different from being someone in the park or breaking someone's car window. Just don't want to get caught, you know. With a sneer, Piers pointed towards the door. My cousin used to work here before he got fired for getting caught taking some tips. He told me that the cameras switch off after midnight. I also saw where the cameras are early today when no one was in that office stairs. Besides, everyone should have their hoodies and masks. We won't get recognized and everyone will just think it's a bad drug deal or something with how criminal they think Potter is. Chuckling, one of the bigger members shook his head. Yeah, I still can't believe that Potter gets blamed for all the shit that we've done. He then frowned and looked around. But how the hell are we getting inside? I went and kicked the door one night and that thing looks like it's shatterproof glass or something. One of the others turned towards him and gave him an odd look. Wait, what? How did you know that? As he snorted, the one who had been speaking shook his head. He was kicking it as hard as I could to try and scare the guard. Then I saw someone walking towards the door and took off before they could see me. Piers grinned a bit. Heh, easy to get inside. With his grin widening some, he jerked his thumb towards the door behind them. Fire door in the back room, you know. No alarms or anything. And all I needed to do was shove some paper in there to keep it from closing. We go in about 11:30 after Potter starting controls and wait for midnight. Then we beat the shit out of him. There was a spark of greed on his face as he shook his head. Maybe break in the cash registers as well. The others all shared a look before they waited. One of them, on a watch, told them that Potter had arrived and gone aside before they looked at their watches until it was 11:30. With nods, they opened the fire door silently and walked inside with hoods up and masks on before closing it. Not having noticed the hidden camera placed above them, which Tony had used to watch his employees on break from a feed in the manager's office. After all, taking too many breaks was a reason for firing Facebook when he had been alive. Harry was just about to enter the party room when he felt a light weight settle on his shoulder and turned to see Aya there. Something the matter? The spectre blinked her eyes before she looked back down the hallway. Yeah, we got a group of having snuck into the pizzeria. Frowning, Harry looked around carefully as he whispered just low enough for Aya to hear him. There's a group of people? I heard nodded. He narrowed his eyes. Any idea who they are or where they are? With her head tilted, Aya was listening to the whispers of the black mass. It's a group of teenagers in masks in the girls' washroom. They're hiding in the stalls right now, keeping out of sight. Their leader is named Piers. Now surprised, Harry glanced at her again. Wait, Piers? Short, weasel-looking bloke? At her nod, he chuckled with a grin. Oh, this is too great. Quickly making his way across the party room, Harry stopped before the stage and quickly put the animatronics in free roam. Guys, I need your help with something. As he tilted his head some, Bonnie frowned. What? When Harry held a finger up to his lip, the rabbit dropped his volume down till he spoke to it in a whisper. What do you need help with? Looking around, Harry cleared his throat. There's a group of teens that calls bathroom, according to Aya. If they're who I think they are, they're here to try and probably beat me up and cause all sorts of trouble. Her eyes narrowed, she clenched her fists. We won't let them hurt you, Harry. The sort of words and reactions from the others caused Harry to smile before he placed his hand on her arm. I know that. A grin returned to his face. Now then, I need you guys to scare them into some place here that will make them feel like they're safe, but also stop them from damaging anything too important. While you do that, I'll call the police. Slowly, Freddie rubbed his chin in thought before he began to grin. I think that I know just the place. Hearing the chime, Piers walked out of the stool and put on the mask he had. Okay, let's go get Potter. Remember, you take him out first so he can't raise the alarm. Following Piers out into the hall, one of the others chuckled. You think there's any money in the register? With a snort, Piers shrugged. Who knows? Unbeknownst to them in the security office, Harry whistled to himself as he watched them make their way towards where he was. Come on, then. One of the gang stopped and looked at some of the pictures on the wall and shivered a bit. What the blood fuck? Those things are creepy as hell. The others looked to see drawings of children on the wall, except all the children were an ash color with black holes where their eyes should be, and two streams of tears. Piers shivered a bit as it seemed like they were looking right through him. Whatever. Let's just go and get Potter. It took them some time to get through the darkened pizzeria until they nearly reached the door to the security office, being quiet the whole way. Before they could enter, though, the security door slammed down, and Harry's face looked out the window at them. His light came on above them. Hey there, Piers. How you doing tonight? Pissed off, Piers swung the cricket bat in his hands at the door, but only got a sore hand in return. Potter! Wagging a finger, Harry spoke to them. Now, Piers, you won't get through these doors like that. There was a clicking noise before Harry chuckled. Heavily reinforced you now. As he kicked at the door, Piers snarled, "We're going to kick your ass, Potter." Suddenly, a deep and spooky laugh echoed through the building and caused the bullies to look around, with one of them gulping. What the hell's that? Harry just grinned, enjoying seeing his childhood tormentors slightly frightened. Don't you guys know why the doors are reinforced? The wizard then pressed the tablet to the window to show them the show stage was empty. Well, are you guys ready for Freddy? Then the light shut off, leaving them in darkness, except for their flashlights, when they heard another deep laugh echo through the building. Still with a grin, Harry pulled away from the window as Piers clenched his fist. He's just trying to scare us. Another laugh echoed through the building, as well as the slam of the other security door. Before he could say anything else, Piers felt one of the others yank on his sleeve, and looked to see him pointing down the hallway. Once he saw what was there, though, Piers and the others felt their blood run cold. Mainly because Freddy stared at them in the low light with his eyes black, except for the white pupil. Well. Seems that we have some troublemakers here. And everyone knows what happens to troublemakers.
With widened eyes, they watched as he slowly walked towards them before he laughed. Screaming, they rushed past him as he seemed to swipe at them as one of the bullies shouted, "Door! Head for the door!" They ran down the hall to where the party room was, only to see Chica and Bonnie walking towards them as the rabbit chuckled, two in front of the only exit. "Well, well, seems we got a bunch of troublemakers here. What shall we do, Foxy?" From Pirate's Cove, Foxy leapt onto a table and stood up, the low lights glinting off his hook as he gestured with it towards the group. "Why, kill troublemakers here, Mr. Bonnie. Arr!" Chica's mouth opened in a grin and she seemed to glitch before she turned towards them. "I'm feeling rather hungry myself." Now utterly panicked, the group ran back the way they came, only to go down the other hallway as they could see Freddy's shadow as he walked down. "What do we do, Piers? What do we do?" Looking around, Piers noticed the door and pointed at it. "There, in there, and we'll hide from them." Completely terrified, they rushed into the cleaning closet until they were all squished as he slammed the door shut. Meanwhile, Harry whistled as he held the phone to his ear. "Hello? Sorry, police. This is Security Officer Harry Potter at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria in Little Wing." "Yes, that Freddy's." Several moments passed as Harry brought up the camera for the cleaning closet. "Yes, I would like to report a break and enter in progress at the pizzeria." "Yes, it's a group of teens, some of which have weapons like cricket bats." "Okay, thank you. Just tell them to go to the front door and I'll be waiting for them." Then against the door appears Flo. "Okay. I don't hear any footsteps." Suddenly they heard Paula's voice right on the other side. "They're right in here. They're right in there." His eyes wide, Piers growled as his fear became anger in that moment. Then he threw the door open and swung the cricket bat at Harry. "Potter, I'm going to kick your ass." Before it reached him, someone grabbed his arm and he found himself on the floor with a weight on his back. "Now that's enough of that." Looking up, he froze as he found himself looking into the unamused face of the police officer. "Not very smart, are you?" Leaning to the side, the other officer scowled as he shined his flashlight into the room. "Put down the weapons now and come out one by one. Get on the floor." Each of them came out and then dropped their weapons before they sat on the floor as the officer spoke into his radio. "Have the suspects in custody. Have need for backup." Another officer walked in and gestured over his shoulder. "Find out where they came in. The fire exit in the girls' washroom. They must have taped the door to prevent it from locking. I found a cinder block on the outside they must have used to make it look like it was locked, John." With a scowl on his face, John looked down at the teen on the floor. "This just keeps getting worse and worse for you, doesn't it?" Panicked, Piers looked at Harry. "It was him! He let us in and tricked us." John's partner, Walton, looked towards Harry with a frown. "Do you have any evidence to the contrary?" Frowning, Harry nodded. "The cameras all stopped recording after midnight because of power issues. But before then, they're recording. I know that they must have come in before then, but after 11 or so when I arrived, as I checked to make sure no one was hiding in the washrooms. So they should be on the cameras. And I remember there being one right above that door, according to a paper I found. But I need the manager to access it." The cuts to the party room showed Bonnie and Freddie walking around, which caused the officer there to grunt. "Okay. Could you contact whoever your manager is? We'll need that tape. Could you shut down the animatronics?" While he shoved his hands into his pockets, Harry shook his head. "Can't. Our place aren't for roaming at night, because otherwise they'll lock up and we'll break down." There were only some grumbles as John placed the handcuffs on Piers. And that's the end of chapter 1. We got a bit of a scare from Piers, or the animatronics got to scare Piers and his gang, so that was cool. But yeah, we got like a little cute scene, some fluff, I guess, with Michelle and Harry, as well as some Michelle finding out about his childhood, which is more than that Hermione and Ron know. So, and honestly, Michelle seems less pushy than those two. So, yeah. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this chapter. If you did, leave a like. Be sure to subscribe. Make sure you leave a review. It might encourage the orphan to come back and continue the story or so. Who knows? But leave a review, and if you do, come back and let me know. Otherwise, I don't want to know. So yeah. Anyway, I will see you next Friday with a new video. Bye!